A question that sellers sometimes ask me if their homes haven't sold is whether it makes sense to consider renting. And it can, depending on your circumstances. So, here outside of Philadelphia, I can tell you the rental market is very tight, meaning there's very little available to rent, specifically things that are in good condition. So, if your property is somewhat updated and in nice condition and you're considering renting it, one piece of good news is that it will probably be in pretty good demand. Another plus is that if you rent as opposed to buying, you don't have to pay the closing costs. So as long as you can rent the property at a monthly amount that more than covers your mortgage, because you have to consider things like maintenance and that sort of stuff, it might be the way to go. Of course, if you are trying to buy another home and you need the cash out of your current house in order to have the down payment money, then obviously renting is not going to work for you. But let's say that's not your situation. Let's say you have another place. Do consider the cost and the hassle of property management. If a dishwasher breaks, if somebody sees a mouse, you have to deal with all of that if you're renting. The other things to be aware of are what happens if your tenant leaves under the dark of night, or maybe they don't. Maybe they stay there full tenancy, but then when you go to re-rent, you have 2 months where the property's not rented. You're still responsible for making that mortgage payment. So if you're counting on a certain rent every month and you don't get it for some reason, think about that. The last thing is sometimes tenants do not take very good care of a property. So you might rent your home and then a year later when the tenant leaves, notice that every surface needs to be painted, the hardwood floors have been gouged, whatever else. So there can be more maintenance and repairs that you need to do than you might have bargained for. So if you are thinking about renting, just a few points that you might want to take under consideration.